Welcome to the online education organized by the Education Department of Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai. Today, we are studying the subject Science for Standard 9th. The topic is a study of sound, and we are going to have a revision of this topic today. We have already done this chapter previously, and we are going to have the revision in 2 sessions, that is today and then tomorrow. Okay, so let us first of all go through what all topics that we are going to be discussing, right? So the topics that are included in this chapter are relating to the study of sound waves, then the study of velocity of sound, reflection of sound, then concepts about the human ear, and the various types of sounds, that is your audible sound, infrasonic sound, and ultrasound. Okay. Now let us first of all see the definition of sound, right? So sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing in our ears, right? So sound is one form of energy. When it is generated, it passes through a medium, then it reaches our ears, right? Where we perceive it as sound. Okay. Then let us study certain properties of sound waves. Sound waves or sound energy travels in the form of waves. A medium is necessary for the propagation of these sound waves. Now, as you can see in the diagram here, we have a speaker, right? So when that speaker produces sound, there are those air molecules, right, which are responsible for transferring the sound energy. Okay, so sound waves give rise to a chain of compressions and rarefactions in the medium. Okay, so as you can see, the sound waves, they're propagating from left to right of the screen. You can see, if you can spot a tiny red particle. Now you can see the red particle happens to just move back and forth. Okay, so sound waves travel in the form of compressions and rarefactions. So compressions are regions of high pressure, whereas rarefactions are regions of low pressure. So you can see the particle itself as a whole does not move. It just oscillates. That is, it just vibrates at its mean average position. Okay. Then there are basically two types of waves, that is longitudinal waves and transverse waves. Now let us first of all study about longitudinal wave. In a longitudinal wave, the particles of the medium oscillate about their mean positions in a direction parallel to the propagation of the wave. Here, the term oscillate means to vibrate, right? The term oscillate means to vibrate, that is from left to right. Okay, so as you can see, a red particle, it is just moving from left to right. Okay, but as all the particles are moving together, you can see there are those waves which are formed in the form of compressions and rarefactions. Okay, the other type of a wave is a transverse wave. In a transverse wave, the particles of the medium oscillate about their mean positions in a direction perpendicular to the propagation of a wave. So if you see a red particle, it is just moving up and down, right? But the wave as a whole, it is moving from left to right. So in a transverse wave, the direction of vibration is perpendicular to the direction of motion. Whereas if we go back in a longitudinal wave, the direction of vibration, that is from left to right, is parallel to the direction in which the wave as a whole is moving. Okay, so sound waves are kind of longitudinal waves. Okay, then so a sound wave can be shown in the form of a graph. At any moment during the propagation of sound, we can find alternate bands of compressions and rarefactions of the medium, that is bands of high and low density. So if you can look in the diagram here on the right hand side, we can say that compressions and rarefactions are regions where the density of the gas molecules, they change, right? That is, you can also say that the change in pressure happens to take place. So in a compression, there is a region of high pressure, whereas in a rarefaction, that is a region of low pressure. Okay, now let us study certain characteristics of sound waves. Okay, the first one is the wavelength. The distance between two consecutive compressions or rarefaction is called as a wavelength, and it is indicated by the Greek letter lambda. Wavelength can also be taken as the distance between any two similar points on a wave. So those 2 points can either be compressions or can be rarefactions. Okay, and for a given wave, for a given particular sound wave, wavelength is fixed, that is, it is a constant. Okay, then let us study the next characteristic, that is the frequency. Frequency, the number of oscillations per unit time, is a frequency of the wave. That means the number of vibrations, that means the number of compressions that pass a given point in 1 second. Okay, it is indicated by the letter nu. It is a Greek letter nu. Okay, so you can see on the left hand side, if you can see the wave on the left, it is at a lower frequency, means it vibrates a bit slower. That means it has a longer wavelength. Whereas the wave on the right, the particle happens to oscillate faster. Okay, so that means it has a shorter wavelength. So here you can understand the relation between frequency and wavelength. So if the wavelength of a frequency is long, it means it has a lower frequency. Whereas if the wavelength of a wave is short, it will have a higher frequency, provided both the waves move with the same velocity. Okay, then the next characteristic of a wave is amplitude. The amplitude is a maximum value of pressure or density, and it is indicated by the letter A. That means the difference in pressure between a compression and rarefaction. It will be the amplitude of a sound wave. So amplitude of a sound wave determines how loud or soft a sound is. So a sound having a higher amplitude will be louder, whereas a sound having a lower amplitude will be softer. Okay. Then the next characteristic is a time period. The time taken for one oscillation of a pressure or density at a point in the medium is called the time period. Or you can also define it as a time required for a one complete wave to pass through. मतलब एक complete wave को एक given point से pass होने के लिए जो time लगता है उसे हम time period कह सकते हैं. And it is indicated by the letter T. Okay. Then the next very important characteristic is a pitch. The value of frequency determines the pitch of the sound. Now, low pitch sound is of low frequency and high pitch sound is of high frequency. So if you can look in the diagram, the wave on the left hand side has a higher wavelength. It is a low pitch sound. Whereas the wave on the right hand side, it is a high pitch. So if we have to give an example, right? Say for example, a man is speaking. So men happen to have a very heavy voice, right? So that those voices, as I am speaking right now, men have a low frequency sound. So they generate a low pitch sound, right? Whereas women, when ladies speak out, they have a very high pitch sound. So you can imagine a female singer singing like Lata Mangeshkar. So she will have a high pitch sound. Whereas if you imagine a male singer like Kishore Kumar, he will have a low pitch sound. Okay. Then now let us try to understand now the concept of velocity of a sound. So the distance covered by a point on a wave in a unit time is a velocity of the sound wave. Now, velocity of a sound wave, or you are aware about the formula of velocity. Velocity is given as distance upon time. So that means what? We can also calculate velocity of sound. So velocity of sound is equal to the distance traveled by the sound wave divided by the time taken for that sound wave to travel that distance. Okay. Then any point on the sound wave covers a distance equal to lambda, which is the wavelength, in time t, which is the time period. So thus, velocity of the sound wave can also be given as v equals to nu into lambda, where v is what? V is the velocity of the sound wave, nu is the frequency, and lambda is the wavelength, right? As we know, 1 upon t, that is 1 upon time period, happens to be equal to frequency. Hence, how does the formula change? So velocity is equal to wavelength upon time period, that is v equals to lambda upon t. So these are the certain formulas that we are going to be using to solve numerical problems further. Okay. Then, so we have also studied velocity of sound is equal to wavelength into frequency. Now, in any medium at fixed physical conditions means temperature of the air, then the pressure of the air and density of the air and so on. So in any medium at fixed physical conditions, the velocity of sound of different frequencies is very nearly the same. That means sound travels with almost the same velocity. Okay. Then the velocity of sound is highest in solids and the least in gases. It increases with an increase in temperature of the medium. So you can generalize that sound travels fastest in the solids and slowest in gases. And in liquids, it travels with moderate speed. You can just see the illustration here shown by that diagram. Okay. So the most important thing is what? Velocity of sound is maximum in solids and the least in gases, and it is moderate in liquids. Okay. Then by observing this table here, we can confirm the previous case. As you can see in the top column, in the first row, you can see various solids are given, right? Solids like aluminum, metal, nickel, steel, iron, brass, and glass. And if you observe the velocities of sound in those different mediums, you can see they are very high. So in aluminum, it is 5,420 meters per second, whereas in nickel, it is 6,040 meters per second, whereas in glass, it is 3,980 meters per second. So you can see in almost all the solids, the velocity is quite high. Okay, now if you observe for liquids like seawater, pure water, and other solvents like ethanol and methanol, you can see velocities are around, for seawater, it is 1,531. And of course, for seawater from different locations, right, the velocity will change slightly. Okay, then for pure water, it is 1,498 meters per second. Okay, and for something like ethanol and methanol, it is around 1,207 or 1,103 meters per second respectively. Okay, but if you now look at the last row, that is for gases, you can see for gases like hydrogen, helium, air, you can see the velocities are so low. For normal air, it is 346 meters per second. So from this table, it is clearly evident that the velocity of sound is maximum in solids and least in gases. Okay, but again, in different solids, it is different. In different liquids, the velocity is different. And also in different samples of gases, the velocity of sound is also different. Okay, then now we'll talk about how the velocity of sound varies in different mediums or with different conditions, right? So how does the variation of velocity of sound take place? So the first condition is what? The variation with temperature. Okay, so if the temperature of the medium in which the sound is traveling changes, the velocity also changes. So let us discuss about the relation. The velocity of sound is directly proportional to the square root of the temperature of the medium. You can see the formula there, right? This means that increasing the temperature 4 times doubles the velocity. So that means if the temperature of the medium happens to change by 4 times, then the velocity of the sound will double. Okay, then next is what? Variation in velocity of sound with variation in density. Okay, the velocity of sound is inversely proportional to the square root of the density of the medium. This means that increasing the density by 4 times reduces the velocity to half its value. That means if you increase the density of the medium in which sound is traveling, the velocity will decrease. Okay, then next is variation with molecular weight. So the velocity of sound is inversely proportional to the square root of the molecular weight of the gas. That this means that increasing the molecular weight 4 times reduces the velocity to half its value. It is just like as in the case of density that we had seen. Okay, now we will discuss about the various types of sound that are present around us. Okay, so there are 3 types of sound. The first one is your audible sound. The second one is the infrasound, and third one is the ultrasound. Now, the 3 types of sounds, they are classified based on their frequencies. Okay, so let us try to discuss this. Okay, so the first type of sound, which is your audible sound, has a frequency range from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Now, as the term suggests, audible sound is a sound which us humans can hear. So we humans can, or ears can perceive this sound, means we can listen to this kind of sound. Okay, now the frequency here means that 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz means any object which is vibrating at a speed of 20 times per second to about 20,000 times per second. Such an object will produce a sound which will be audible to us. Okay, so any speaker that is there in front of you, right now when you're listening to the sound, it is vibrating in between these speeds. That means either 20 times per second to around 20,000 times per second. That means if any object vibrates at a speed of less than 20 times per second, we cannot hear it. Same way as if an object happens to vibrate more than 20,000 times per second, those sounds also we cannot hear. So we can hear only between that range. Okay, so the next type of sound is your infrasound. So infrasound happen to have a frequency lower than 20 hertz, right? And ultrasounds have a frequency that is higher than 20,000 hertz. So you can see there is a diagram here. So audible frequencies are within that range of 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz. Infrasounds, they are having a frequency lower than 20 hertz. So these are the sounds which can be heard by certain animals like elephants. Okay. Then ultrasounds have a frequency of higher than 20,000 hertz, which can be heard and produced by certain animals like bats and dolphins. Okay. Then let us go into details now. So let us first of all discuss about your audible sound. The limits of hearing of human ear are 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, as I have told you before. The human ear can hear sounds frequencies in this range. Okay, so we can listen and hear to only sounds which have a frequency from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Anything beyond that we cannot hear. Okay, so these sounds are called as audible sounds. Human ears cannot hear frequencies lower than 20 hertz and higher than 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz, what they call it. Okay, so sounds lower than 20 hertz are called as infrasounds, and sounds higher than 20,000 hertz are called as ultrasounds. Right? Let us discuss about those also. So infrasound, sound waves with a frequency smaller than 20 hertz are called as infrasound. The sounds produced by a pendulum and the sounds generated by the vibrations of the Earth's crust just before an earthquake are the examples of infrasound. Now, it is observed that certain animals like elephants, dogs, they happen to become alert just before an earthquake. Okay, so from this it is proved that they can hear those infrasounds. Okay, then the next is what are ultrasound. Sound waves with frequencies greater than 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz are called as ultrasound. Dogs, mouse, bats, dolphins, etc. have a special ability to hear ultrasonic sounds. They can sense some noise which are inaudible to us humans. Inaudible means that which we cannot hear. Okay, children under 5 years of age and some creatures and insects can hear frequencies up to 25 kilohertz. That means 25,000 hertz. Okay, then ultrasound. Bats, mice, dolphins, etc. can also produce ultrasound. That means along with the ability to hear these sounds, they can also generate the ultrasound. It is used for communication between ships at sea. Now, at sea, there are no roads, there are no signs, right? And there are also no mobile communications because there are no network towers there. So ships at long distances, for communicating with each other, they make use of these ultrasonic sound waves. Okay, now so ultrasound is also used to obtain images of internal organs of the human body. Now that concept we are going to study a bit further down. Okay, then ultrasound is also used to locate cracks and faults in metal blocks. That means railway tracks are inspected periodically by using ultrasound for presence of any cracks. Okay, then the next concept that we are here studying today is about the reflection of sound. Okay, now like light waves, sound waves too get reflected from a solid surface or a liquid surface. Sound waves also follow the laws of reflection. A smooth or a rough surface is needed for a reflection of a sound. Now, a smooth surface will produce a very regular reflection, whereas a rough surface will not produce a regular reflection of sound. Okay. The direction of incident sound wave and reflected sound wave make equal angles with the perpendicular to the surface, and all of these lie in the same plane. That means this is again following the law of reflection. That means the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection, exactly the same way as we have studied in the reflection of sound. Okay. Now, the next concept is about your good and bad reflectors of sound. How much of the incident sound get reflected decides whether a reflector is a good reflector or a bad reflector. So if a given surface happens to reflect all of the incident sound, then that reflector is a good reflector. Whereas if any surface happens to absorb the sound waves, or if it is not able to reflect the sound waves, then it is a bad reflector of sound. Okay. A hard and a flat surface is a good reflector, while clothes, paper, curtains, carpet, furniture, etc. absorb the sound waves instead of reflecting it. Hence, they are bad reflectors of sound. Okay, so certain surfaces, they will reflect the sound as it is, something like a glass surface or maybe a rigid wall that will reflect the sound waves. But if you have curtains, or if you have clothes hanging, or maybe trees around us, right? Because they are soft surfaces, they will absorb the sound radiation or sound waves. Okay. Then the next concept is a very interesting phenomena, which is called as an echo. You must have visited an echo point at a hill station. Now, almost all hill stations, when you visit, there happens to be one echo point. Somewhere like Mahabaleshwar or maybe in Lonavala, you have an echo point which you can visit and observe. If you shout out loudly at such a point, you hear the same sound just after a little while. This sound is an echo. Okay, so how does an echo form? An echo is a repetition of the original sound because of reflection from some surface. That means when you shout out loudly, what happens is the sound waves, as you're shouting, they travel away from you, right? Then when they strike at a surface which is quite far away, the sound gets reflected maybe from a mountain on the other side, and then after reflection the sound waves travel back to you, which reaches your ear. Okay, and that is what you listen as an echo. Okay, so let us understand a certain condition for formation of an echo. Okay, in order to be able to hear the original sound and its reflection distinctly at 22 degrees Celsius, what must be the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface? Now, the example that I gave, the mountain. So for us to hear an echo, how far should be the mountain, right? As I've told you, there should be a reflecting surface. Now, in your house also, there is a wall. So from that wall also, the sound must be reflecting back, right? But we don't hear an echo in our homes. Why is it so? Because the walls are very close to you. Okay. So at 22 degrees Celsius, the velocity of sound in air is 344 meters per second. That means what? At 22 degrees Celsius, sound travels quite fast. That is at 344 meters per second. Our brain retains this sound for about 0.1 seconds. That means once any kind of a sound enters into your ears and your brain, it stays there for 0.1 seconds. That means our brain cannot listen to that same sound in a time interval before 0.1 second. Okay. So for an echo to be heard, this is a very important condition. Thus, for us to be able to hear a distinct echo, the sound should take more than 0.1 second after starting from the source to get reflected and come back to us. That means after you have shouted, the sound should take more than 0.1 seconds to get reflected and come back from the reflecting surface. That may be a wall or that may be a mountain. Okay, so let us understand this. We can determine the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface as follows. We know that the formula for distance is equal to speed multiplied by the time. That means the velocity of sound is 344 meters per second, and as we have understood here, the minimum time is 0.1 seconds. So that gives you a distance of 34.4 meters. That means the sound should travel a total distance of 34.4 meters. That is from the source of the sound to the reflecting surface, that is a wall, and then again back to you. Okay, so thus to be able to hear a distinct echo, the reflecting surface should be at a minimum distance of half of it, that is 17.2 meters, because the total distance is twice, right? So as the velocity of sound in air depends on the temperature of the air, the distance also depends accordingly. So if the temperature of the air changes, that distance will also change. Okay. Then the next concept is a very important concept that we again observe in our day-to-day life. It's called as reverberation. Now let us compare the two cases. Okay. Now go to an empty closed house with your friends. Once inside, chat with your friends and again note what you observe. In the second case, close the doors and windows of your house and switch on the music system. Increase the loudness of the sound system as much as possible and note what you observe. Okay. Now, in the first case, when you're chatting with your friends, after a certain interval, what happens is you are not able to hear your friend properly. And same case in the second, when you have turned on your music system with a loud sound, after a certain interval, because of a loud sound, it becomes very difficult to listen to the music carefully. Okay, so let us see what happens. So in the first case, echoes of the sounds are heard. After some time, it will become difficult to hear one another. For the second case, the sound of the music seems like jumbled and prolonged, and it becomes highly undesirable to listen to this sound after some time due to multiple reflections of the sound. Okay, so let us understand why does such a thing happen. Okay, now sound waves get reflected from the walls and roof of a room multiple times. Okay, so repeated reflections of the sound waves from the walls combine to build up what seems like a continuous sound. Now this is because of the continuous reflections from the various surfaces. Okay, this causes a single sound to be heard not once but continuously because of multiple reflections from different surfaces, and this is called as reverberation. Means if you look at this diagram, on the left hand side you have a speaker over there. Okay, now when he is speaking, the sound waves from the source, that is from his mouth, when he is talking, the sound waves travel in different directions, right? The first is what? The direct direction to the listener in a straight line. The sound also travels upwards and backwards also, right? And from there it is getting reflected multiple times, and that reflected sound waves reaches the listener, right? So the listener happens to get the same sound multiple times. So the listener happens to get a continuous sound, and that is called as reverberation. Okay, you can observe this when you are in a large auditorium or when in a large hall if you are present. Okay, you can hear that. Say for example, if you are in an empty room, and if an empty room, when you are speaking out, what happens is the sound persists there. In Hindi हम लोग इसको बोलते हैं कि आवाज घूम रहा है किसी रूम में, राइट? इस आवाज घूमने का जो ये फिनोमेना है, इसी को हम रेवर्बरेशन कहते हैं. Okay, because the sound is getting reflected from the same surfaces multiple times. Okay, then the time between successive reflections of a particular sound wave reaching us becomes smaller, and the reflected sound gets mixed up to produce a continuous sound of increasing loudness which cannot be heard clearly, right? So because of these various features on the walls, agar aapke walls par alag alag cheeze lagi hain, so those will also cause the waves to be reflected more number of times. Okay, and it will become very difficult to hear. Okay, then the excessive reverberations is not desirable, as the speech of the speaker or the pitch of the music cannot be heard clearly due to the mixing of reflected waves and direct waves produced after the production of earlier waves. मतलब यहाँ पर क्या होगा? The sound waves will get reflected multiple times, and if there is a speaker talking, you will not be able to hear clearly what he is saying. Okay, so and if there is a speaker who is taking a lecture, or maybe if there is a leader who is talking, or if he's giving a speech, you will not be able to hear him or her carefully if there are those multiple reflections, or if there are those reverberations taking place, right? So how to avoid and how to get rid of those reverberations? Let us see. Now, some auditoriums, public halls, or buildings are considered acoustically poor because of reverberation. Now, acoustically means relating to sound. Acoustics means phenomena or a study of sound is called as acoustics. Okay. Now, to reduce reverberation, the roof and walls of auditoriums are generally covered with sound absorbing materials such as compressed fiber boards, rough plaster, or curtains. Even the materials of the seats is chosen such that it absorbs the sound waves to the desired extent. Now, if you go back to the diagram here, you can see what is the cause of reverberation. The main cause of reverberation is a reflection from the walls and the ceilings of the room. Okay, so if you cover the walls and ceilings of the room with objects that are bad reflectors of sound, then what will happen? They will not reflect that sound, and reverberation will not take place. So as I have given an example, if you are in an empty room, now an empty room will just have rigid walls, and as I've told you, walls are good reflectors of sound, so they will generate a lot of reverberation. But say if there is a lot of furniture in your room, so furniture is made up of wood, and wood is pretty soft. Wood will kind of absorb some sound waves. If in the same room there are a lot of curtains, those curtains will also absorb the sound waves, right? And reverberation will not take place. So if you have ever visited an auditorium or a movie theater, right? Now when you enter the movie theater, you observe first of all the seats are so soft, right? The reason for those seats to be so soft is to reduce the reverberation by absorbing the sound waves. Secondly, if you have ever touched the walls are made up of a very soft material, or there might be a covering of foam or a covering of cloth, right? There may be large holes on the wall, right? Okay, so those holes are made there distinctly to reduce the reverberation, or else in some cases the walls of the auditorium are a very rough shaped, or they have a very irregular shape. The wall may not be straight, may not be flat, it may have a very irregular shape. So the reason for that irregular shapes is to reduce the reflections that are generated by those walls, and to reduce the reflections from those walls, right? Okay, then so today the phenomena, the concept that we have learned is about the various concepts of sound. Let us go through whatever we have studied today in a very brief manner, and then we will stop for today. So first of all, we had studied about the definition of sound, right? So sound is a form of energy which creates a sensation of hearing. Then sound travels in the form of waves, and the medium is very necessary for the sound to propagate, right? That means what? In space where there is no medium, in a perfect vacuum, sound will not travel, right? Then sound waves travels in the form of these compressions and rarefactions. Okay, then sound is a form of longitudinal waves. In a longitudinal wave, the direction of propagation of wave and the direction in which the particles vibrate is parallel to each other. In a transverse wave, the direction in which the particles are vibrating and the direction in which the wave is moving is perpendicular to each other. Okay, then in a sound wave, you have alternate regions of high pressure and low pressure. So regions of high pressure are called as compressions, whereas regions of low pressure, they are called as rarefactions, and they travel in the form of these alternate bands of compressions and rarefactions. Okay, so when they reach inside your ear, they happen to cause the eardrum inside our ear to vibrate, which we will study in the next class. Then the characteristics of sound waves, which are very important, which we have studied, are wavelength. So the distance between two consecutive compressions or rarefactions is called as wavelength. It is denoted by the Greek letter lambda, and its unit is the unit of length, that is meter or centimeter. Okay, then we have studied the concept of frequency. So the number of oscillations per unit time is the frequency of a wave, right? It's indicated by nu, and its unit is hertz, where 1 hertz is 1 vibration per second. Okay, then next was your amplitude. Amplitude is a maximum value of pressure or density indicated by letter A. Its unit is that of the length, meter or centimeter, right? So if a wave has a higher amplitude, that means the sound will be louder. If a sound wave has a lower amplitude, that sound will be softer. Okay, then next is what your characteristic, that is your time period. The time taken for one oscillation of pressure or density at a point in the medium is called the time period, indicated by letter T, and its unit is seconds. Okay, then pitch of a sound wave. The value of frequency determines the pitch of the sound. So a low pitch sound is of low frequency and a high pitch sound is of high frequency. So as I had earlier told, males when they are talking, or a bass, heavy bass sound is a low pitch sound, whereas a high pitch sound is a shrill voice like a female singer singing. Okay, then the velocity of sound, the distance traveled or covered by a point on the wave in unit time is the velocity of the sound wave, and velocity is given as distance per unit time. Any point on the wave covers a distance equal to wavelength lambda in time period t. Okay, and is given by v equals to nu into lambda. Okay, it is also velocity is equal to wavelength upon time period, that is v is equal to lambda upon t. So there are these certain formulas which we are going to be using in the numericals. Okay, and velocity of sound is given as wavelength into frequency. In any medium at fixed conditions, the velocity of sound for different frequencies is very nearly the same. That means if you have a fixed medium, either air or solid, right, the various frequencies of sound will travel with nearly the same velocity. Okay, the velocity of sound is highest in solids and least in gases, right? As we had seen in this table, right? For various solids, the velocity of sound is quite high, but for gases, it is low. Okay, then the variation in velocity, that means for a given medium, how does the velocity of sound increase or decrease? Okay, so the velocity of sound is directly proportional to the square root of the temperature of the medium. This means that increasing temperature 4 times will double the velocity. Let us take an example. As we have studied, the velocity of sound in air is about 346 meters per second. Okay, and say the temperature is say 22 degrees Celsius. So if we increase the temperature by 4 times, that means 22 degrees Celsius multiplied by 4. That means if the temperature of the air becomes 88 degrees Celsius, then the velocity of sound will double. That is from 346 multiplied by 2. Right? Okay. Then next is variation in density. The velocity of sound is inversely proportional to the square root of the density of the medium. This means that increasing the density by 4 times reduces the velocity to half its value. Next was variation with molecular weight. That is, the velocity of sound is inversely proportional to the square root of the molecular weight, just like that of density. This means increasing the molecular weight 4 times decreases the velocity to half its value. Then the 3 types of sound we studied, that was audible sound, infrasound, and ultrasound. So audible sound has a frequency range from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and we humans can hear these sound waves. Then infrasound, infrasounds are sounds which have a frequency that is lower than 20 hertz, and ultrasounds have a frequency that is higher than 20,000 hertz, right? So audible sounds, the limit of hearing of the human ear is from 20 to 20,000 hertz, right? And these are called as audible frequencies or audible sounds. Okay, the next one was your infrasound. Sound waves with frequencies smaller than 20 hertz are called as infrasounds. The sound produced by a pendulum and the sound generated by the vibration of the earth's crust just before an earthquake are examples of your infrasounds. Sound waves with frequencies greater than 20,000 hertz, that is 20 kilohertz, are called as ultrasounds, right? Dogs, mouse, bats, etc. have a special ability to hear those ultrasounds. Okay, then next is what? Bats, mice, and dolphins can also produce these ultrasounds. Okay, it is used for also for communication between seas. Now, if you take an example for bat, now bats make use of ultrasounds to find the position of the prey. Okay, if you can look at the diagram, the ultrasound generated by the bat will get reflected from a insect, right? And by determining the direction from which and the time required for the reflection to come back, just like an echo, the bat from its brain calculates the direction and the distance of the prey and catches it even in the darkness. Okay, then next was your reflection of sound. So sound also obeys the laws of reflection just like light. Okay, that is, the direction of incident sound wave and the reflected sound wave make equal angles with the perpendicular to the surface and all lie in the same plane. That is, angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Then next is what about good and bad reflectors of sound, right? So hard, rigid, plain surfaces are considered to be good reflectors of sound, whereas soft surfaces or surfaces with very rough texture, they are considered to be bad reflectors of sound. Okay. Then next was about echo. So an echo is a repetition of the original sound because of reflection from some surface, right? So we had studied at 22 degrees Celsius, the velocity of sound in air is 344 meters per second, right? And our brain retains any sound for a time interval of 0.1 seconds, right? So that means what? For us to be able to hear a distinct echo, the sound should take more than 0.1 seconds from the source back. Okay, so we can determine that minimum distance by the formula distance equals to speed into time. So we calculated that distance to be 34.4 meters. That means that is the total distance that the sound should travel from the source to the reflector and then back to the source. Okay, that means the minimum distance between the source and the reflecting surface will be half of 34.4, that is 17.2 meters, right? Then we had then considered the concept of reverberation, right? So sound waves get reflected from the walls and the roof of a room multiple times, and these repeated sound reflections from the walls combine to build up what seems like a continuous sound. And this is a this causes a single sound to be heard not once but continuously. This is called as reverberation, right? So the time between successive reflections of a particular sound wave reaching us becomes smaller and smaller, and sound get mixed up to produce a continuous sound, which is not desirable. Okay, then excessive reverberation is not desirable, as the speech of the speaker or the pitch of the music cannot be heard clearly because of the mixing of the different sound waves which are reflected. Okay, so we had studied, or we had understood how to reduce the phenomena of your reverberation, right? So this can be reduced by covering the reflecting surface by sound absorbing material, or material which act as bad reflectors of sound. Okay, so to reduce reverberation, the roof and walls of auditoriums are generally covered with sound absorbing materials like compressed fiber boards or rough paint, or maybe rough plaster, or maybe curtains also. Okay, so materials are chosen such that they will absorb the sound waves to the maximum extent. Okay, so this is where we end for today, and then in the next class tomorrow we will continue. Any student has to ask any question? Yes, Anam, please unmute and ask the question that you need to ask. Yes, Bharti, unmute and ask. Rehan Ansari. Bolo. Please ask your doubt. Hello.
Yes, sir. I think we don't have any doubts.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So then we can wrap up for today then.
All right.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Sir,
Yes, Shweta. Yes, Shweta. Go
Yes,
ahead and ask.
मिस जो ये दिया है क्वेश्चन इसमें
Bolo.
इसमें सम दिया है ना सर लास्ट पेज पे एग्जांपल
हाँ.
तो उसका वो सिखाएंगे क्या सर अभी?
Yes, tomorrow. The sums, the numerical problems, वो हम कल डिस्कस करेंगे बेटा.
यस सर.
ठीक है, क्योंकि अभी तक मैंने सिर्फ हाफ ही चैप्टर डिस्कस किया है. द रिमेनिंग हाफ चैप्टर विल बी डिस्कसिंग टुमारो.
यस सर.
ओके.
यस सर.
ओके.
थैंक यू.
Yes, बेटा. ओके. थैंक यू. Yes, Almas madam.
Yes, Mufid. Do you have any question?
Yes, ma'am. I'm having a question.
Yes, beta, bolo.
Sir, as you thought that sound waves travel about 344 kilometer per hour. Sir, does sound wave travel?
Bolo.
Yes, sir. Does sound wave travel in space as well in the same speed?
No, listen carefully. The speed of sound in air is 344 meters per second. Right now, when we had studied about the characteristics of sound waves require a medium to travel. मतलब अगर sound को एक जगह से दूसरे जगह पे travel करना होगा तो उसे कोई ना कोई medium चाहिए. Okay, जैसे अभी हम जब बात करते हैं एक दूसरे से आमने सामने तो sound travels through air molecules. वो air molecules के vibration से travel होता है. लेकिन space में in space there is no sound, there are no molecules, there is vacuum. वहां पे कोई भी particle नहीं होता, right? So in space there is no way that sound can travel. Okay,
but how could then light travel?
Beta, light is a different form of energy. Light is an electromagnetic radiation. और light travel करने के लिए उसको medium नहीं चाहिए होता, right? अभी एक बात बताऊं मैं तुमको, there are two types of waves. एक होते हैं material wave और एक होते हैं इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक वेव्स. ओके, तो जो हमारा साउंड वेव है इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ अ मटेरियल वेव, इसीलिए उसको ट्रैवल करने के लिए एक मीडियम की जरूरत होती है. लेकिन जो आपके लाइट वेव्स हैं, ठीक है, दे डू नॉट रिक्वायर अ मीडियम, दे आर जस्ट इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक रेडिएशंस. ओके, तो जो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक रेडिएशंस के बारे में है वो आप अगले साल पढ़ेंगे, और डिटेल में 11th और 12th स्टैंडर्ड में जब फिजिक्स पढ़ेंगे उसमें और डिटेल में समझेंगे. Okay, beta?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
beta,
so
thanks.
much, sir.
Yes. Yes, any more doubts, students? Please ask.
No, sir.
Okay, so we will continue with the class tomorrow. Make sure you read the chapter, and in tomorrow's class, we will discuss all the numericals in detail. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, beta.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Same here. Have a nice day. Yeah.
So thank you, students, for joining today, and join back tomorrow for next classes. Have a nice day.